President Goldthorpe, Commissioners, it's now 11:30.
Thank you. Well, welcome to everybody to the ACHD today. We are starting a little bit earlier because we have a pretty good deal to discuss in the director's report. But as usual, is there any input or questions, comments from the commission about our agenda?
Mr. President, I have a question. And
Yes.
yeah, so
Lean over and scream into your microphone.
Okay, can you hear me?
Not really.
You can't. My microphone's on. Let's see.
It might just be muffled on our end.
Yeah, I can hear you fine, Jim, so it must be like Alexis said, just there.
I'll try not to shout, otherwise Mario, her hearing, her headphones will pop up. I just want to say I appreciate the distinction, making a clarification, because we use this when you talk to people and say, oh, that's a quasi-judicial issue, that's a legislative. So that's really helpful. But of course, now I do have a question, and that is the vacation and exchange on the consent agenda is listed as legislative, even though it's a private party that has requested that. And I assume when it comes up on the date, whatever that date is, May 26th, it'll be listed as quasi-judicial. So I assume legislative refers to just the act of scheduling, but it does lead to some confusion, because I would think you'd want to, if it's something's going to be quasi-judicial, you want to list that right from the get-go.
Mr. President, Commissioner Hanson, you are absolutely correct. It's there defined as legislative because it's just setting the date. When we do bring that in front of the commission, if the commission does approve that date, it'll be listed as a quasi-judicial.
I just want to clarify.
Any other clarifications, comments, questions, or can we go ahead and move on to the director's report? Then we'll go ahead and move on.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President, Commissioners. Good morning. Just a very few administrative updates before we get into the three action items that we've listed for you in my director's report. First off, again today, as some of you saw, we are celebrating Sherry Canouse's birthday, anniversary of her 21st birthday, so we're just very grateful that she is here and doing a tremendous job. I also want to, on the record, as we did this morning, thank and congratulate all of the ACHD administrative professionals. As you know, today is Administrative Professionals Day, and as I shared this morning with the entire team, our operation would not work and would stop without all of the tremendous dedication, motivation, focus on the mission that our administrative professionals have on a day-to-day basis, and as important, their tremendous sense of humor as we work through all of the challenges that we do have. I wanted to, today, we recognized a whole bunch of our team members from of the quarters, which I've shared with you earlier, to innovation ideas, to sustained spirit performers. But I wanted to share very quickly just two examples of what we call in our category heroes and such. So what occurred a little bit ago with two of our maintainers, and that was Jake Berryman and Nick Hardy. I'd like to read the write-up to you so that you get a sense of what your teams really do above and beyond on day-to-day operation. It was approximately 1:15 p.m. Jake Berryman and Nick Hardy were heading to the job site where they were traveling north on Linder in Meridian near Tully Park when they noticed two younger children on scooters that seemed to be out of sorts. They quickly realized that there was a pit bull in the yard barking and charging these two kids. The kids were terrified. Jake spun around in the road and Nick jumped out, putting himself in between the aggressive dog and the two children. The dog turned on Nick, charging him and trying to bite him, but Nick was able to prevent from actually being bit. While this was happening, Jake hurried the kids past the house and out of harm's way. Once the kids were gone, they were able to get the dog to calm down and get him back into the backyard of the house where they could have the gate, where they saw the gate was unlatched. throwing a ball they found near the dog. The dog ran back in the backyard, shut the gate, and everything was fine. Nobody was home when they knocked on the door, and since the dog was locked up safely, they didn't call anyone because there was no threat going forward. Feeling that the situation was under control, they went about their day. Now, these two basically said it's no big deal. I call that service before self. I call that excellence in everything that we do across the board. And so today we awarded them the two directors' coins for just going well above the maintenance, normal operations of repairing the roads and ensuring that they took care of the community as we do on a day-to-day basis.
Hey, Bruce, I'm sorry I missed this morning's meeting. I don't very often. But when you sent that out the first time, I copied and pasted it and sent it over to Jacob's mom. That was an interesting conversation. She spent the longest time telling me exactly how much he enjoys working here, and a lot of other stuff. But it's nice to know members of your team better than sometimes you get to. So I just wanted you to know how that was spread a little bit further, and much appreciated.
Mr. President, thank you for those very kind words. We did have another hero, and that was Nate Fout. Nate Fout's, again, a member of our maintenance operation. And a little bit ago, he was out and about doing his normal operations when he came across a home that he knew was owned by an elderly couple. There was snow and stuff in the driveway. Nate decided that at that point in time he was going to stop, and he cleared the entire sidewalk and the driveway for this elderly couple. So again, another tremendous demonstration of the commitment that your team has as we move forward in all the very difficult operations we have here at the Ada County Highway District. He was also awarded a director's coin today. And then finally, we talked about a lot of things today and shared a lot of information, but we also I made a presentation on active shooter training. It's unfortunate that we have to go through that. I will be making that presentation to all of you next week in a work session so that you have also the specifics that we at the Ada County Highway District emphasize when it comes to an active shooter situation and such. So with that, from an administrative point, Commissioners, I did share with you, based on directions you gave us, three things we'd like to get your thumbs up, thumbs down on as we move forward. As you know, you have ultimate authority, absolute authority on the number of FTEs, full-time employees that we employ at the district. I don't have that authority. And so last week I made a presentation to you about requests that would be coming today from our maintenance and of course from me on approving an additional 8 FTEs for our grade crews. Currently, as I think I shared with you, since 2013, maybe a little earlier, we have maintained basically 17 grade crew members per Adams and per Cloverdale. We did increase by 1 and such. We're asking that you authorize us to bring on an additional 8, 4 for Adams, 4 for Cloverdale. And the rationale is in the packet that I sent, bottom line, there's a lot of stuff that's in front of us, and we're at a point now where our maintainers need this extra amount of help to allow us to do not only the current job, but to do a couple extra things that I shared with you earlier. Now, the great news about this is that we do offer somewhat of a trade-off in dollars. We believe very strongly that we can remove 10 of the temps that we had intended to hire to help with this load just for chip sealing at a cost of $98,000 of savings overall. I've given you the what I call the all-in cost, which is entitlements, benefits, you name it across the board for this group. And at the end of the day, we'd like to have your approval to move forward on that.
Got mine.
Sounds good.
Yeah. I concur. Good investment, anytime we invest in our people.
I greatly
agree.
appreciate the support.
Maintenance and fixing what we have is really, really critical, and not creating a bigger, wider gap.
Well, Commissioners, thank you very much. And I'm sure if you could see the head of, I'm sorry, the World's Greatest General Counsel just let me
that's
know
right.
that you
It's
need to make a motion on this one.
Yeah, since we don't always have action items as part of the director's report or work sessions, then I would like to have a motion to accept this particular, to approve the additional FTEs in our maintenance department.
Second.
So moved?
Oh,
Oh,
Okay, we
I
got
didn't
'em.
hear the
All in
first, sorry.
favor?
we got it backwards.
All in
We're
favor?
all together.
Okay,
Aye.
everybody say aye together. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
I'm watching the Deputy Director of Maintenance smile through her mask over there. Greatly appreciated. Commissioners, the next one, you asked us last week to pen a letter for my signature to the family in question regarding the memorial that you all are working on as a somewhat of a interim measure. I provided that to all of you.
Director
And-
Long,
Say again?
you forgot one thing about the additional maintainers, and that was to promise us that that Jennifer was going to hire 8 different Nates, Jakes, and I mean, okay, just kidding.
Mr. President, we'll do our best on that. Again, our proposal is in front of you. If you do agree to that, I will sign it, send it, and then our maintainers, our sign crews, our traffic folks are standing by to remove that sign today and such. And then, of course, you'll continue your discussions as you move forward. But that's what we've put together, and that was our recommendation.
Just to put it on the record, as I did in our email last night, I have spoken with Mrs. Schultz. She understands what's going on. She understands that there will be another meeting. She did ask, and I assume now that she's seeing a possibility a couple of steps down in the future, that if we remove it permanently, that she'd like to be given the sign that disappears. Not today, not tomorrow, but if it's decided.
Mr. President, we can do that.
Yeah, I thought so. Thank you.
So again, so the general counsel doesn't have to come up and tap me on the shoulder. Again, I do assume this would require a motion and such, and then whatever debate you'd like to go through.
I'd entertain a motion to approve the letter to go out to the Schultz family.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Thank you. Motion carries.
Okay, Mr. President, Commissioners, again, the third action item, as you asked us to do, is to craft a letter that would be handed to the mayor on a meeting that Commissioner Goldthorpe and select members of staff would have on briefing the mayor on the operational considerations for the salt shed and legal considerations on the salt shed, well prior to his next council meeting, which I believe is next week and such. We've done that. We've presented to you the draft. I know that Commissioner McKinney has offered recommendations on this, and so I'll ask the general counsel to come forward on this one since we're talking legal issues. But again, the direction from you was to have this done prepared for the president's signature, and then ensure that we had a meeting with the mayor to make sure he was fully aware of all the options that we're looking at, and we are prepared to do that. As I shared with Commissioner Goldthorpe just a little bit ago, that was scheduled for later on this afternoon. Unfortunately, the mayor has been called to the legislature today, this afternoon, regarding a discussion on property taxes and such. So we will reach out to the mayor as soon as you're done today to try and get that rescheduled as quickly as possible so we can brief him. So with that, I'll turn it over to the General Counsel.
I wonder, while Steve's coming up, is there a way that we could get the Word document that I made changes to that we can all look at on the screen? Could that be brought up?
Well, that, unless Mary,
I can send it to you.
Well, and Mary and
I think it'd
Jim would
be-
need to see it too.
well, unless we have to approve specific words, perhaps an overview from Steve and Dave would be sufficient. We can say, oh yeah, that's fine, or not.
Well, and without the actual edits in front of me, I very likely might miss a couple of things here and there, but go ahead, Mr. Price.
Well, there's just really a couple of points. Many of the edits that Commissioner McKinney, you proposed, we agree with, and some of those we'd already made and caught, and we have made all of those. I know Commissioner Pickering had also was going to make some proposed comments or changes. The issue as to whether to soften the tone, we could do that, absolutely, and those are the edits that I did not make.
Okay.
If you would like to do that, most certainly, that's within your purview to do that.
And I think that's probably the most important thing for us to discuss as a commission.
Yeah, and so if you do that, then most certainly I would tone it down consistently with whatever you raised in your draft, as well as whatever Commissioner Pickering or any other commissioner raised. We're happy to do that. I will tell you that I toned it down, and then I toned it down again, and then
Okay.
I toned it down again. I usually start off by slamming my foot in the door and then get going off of that. But I think I had explained to Commissioner Pickering last week is, staff's pretty good at two-dimensional thinking, but politics and other outside issues is really the third dimension. And the issue of whether to soften down the letter is really a third-dimensional issue, and that's within your purview. So I'm happy to take those comments, take them into consideration. If you have specific words that you would like to use, then I can do that. Otherwise, then I would just generally, consistently with what you had recommended, tone it down.
If I may, let me just sort of, as a general matter, for example, if we look at the first paragraph of the letter, 1, 2, 3, 4, the fifth line, ACHD is resolved to enforce its legal rights.
That's just lawyers.
Right, no, I completely understand. And I wonder if perhaps it might be better to say something more along the lines of, we don't intend to abandon any of our legal rights, or maybe the word maintain. We always intend to maintain our legal rights. That's sort of the one thing. Second paragraph, fourth line, there are several significant misperceptions, and I suggested a change to, it appears there are some misperceptions about it. Again, just a little bit softer. And then the other general one, and again, there are a couple of things here and there that I don't recall off the top of my head, but the other one is where we talk about, in the letter, it mentions several times that ACHD does not have any plans in the foreseeable future to move the salt shed. And I wonder if it might be more,
How about something, however, we are exploring other alternatives?
well, I think the change I suggested was, instead of in the foreseeable future, to say in the immediate future. Because we do say in a couple of places, we're exploring options, and when there is a good option to make a change, we'll do that when it's in our best interests.
Yeah. Done. We'll do that, absolutely. One thing that I don't think that we've talked about in the past, and that is that there still needs to be an effort to consolidate our campus. And what I mean by that is that the Reed Street, the one that comes over alongside the yard, there's going to be, it's already planned, a new Reed Street extension that will go directly from the senior center to Adams. And when that is completed, then we would vacate the old or the existing portion of Reed Street, which would then unify the Adams yard, which would make it more valuable. And so I don't know when that's going to happen,
Right.
but I wanted to at least bring that to your attention because we haven't raised that before.
Mr. President,
Yes.
Steve, I can't find it on the initial letter, but I mean, to align with Commissioner McKinney's thoughts, I wanted to just point out one more thing. In conversations with folks in my district, just having our campus here next to residential, homes and things like that, there was mention of like the salt shed does not increase sound or, that type of challenge, when in fact just us existing in this residential area.
I thought about that.
Yeah, I just don't think that that's a really good point, and it would
Okay.
kind of just rub salt in the wound. I would
Okay.
like to see that removed. Thank you.
I agree. That makes sense. It's side issue and, yeah.
Okay. So here, and I think we could go through this in about 2 minutes, but there's where these are the few changes that I suggested. And of course, there may be some instances where I have not consistently made that same change throughout, but the ones that jumped out at me, I did.
I'll make sure that it's consistent.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks.
So, and let's see, and so I think yeah, here we go. If you look, second page, that middle paragraph, I got rid of, foreseeable future and put in immediate. We have no immediate intention. And other language that kind of, again, like I say, I think softens it a little bit. On page 4, I thought it'd be nice to put in the year that we were first notified about EPA regulations.
We've done that.
Page 5, that second to the top bullet point, I'm not certain if that's actually correct, if it should be just findings and conclusions or findings of fact and conclusions. Let's see.
The
So
second bullet point?
Yeah, second bullet point on page 5. But maybe that's the incorrect.
No, that's actually correct. It wasn't in their findings.
So findings is correct, not findings of fact?
Yes.
Okay, all right then. And let me see, bottom of page 10, that's just sort of
I probably should.
I had a conclusion. And then the very last paragraph, or well, top paragraph on page 12. Again, it sort of softens it. And so maybe, and I think, like I say, not tremendous.
Could you go back to the last?
Whoops.
It's okay. It was
Oh, meeting
the last
down.
paragraph on page 12, you said?
The recording has stopped.
Yeah, first, actually, it's the first paragraph, top of page 12.
Starts with?
Adams Yard operations. Well, and it's not the beginning of the paragraph, is it? Starts on the bottom of page 11 in this, anyway, it's all right here. I think,
Okay. Well, we gotta,
Stop then.
we have to stop.
Yep. I'm gonna go grab grab my water bottle.
Oh, yes. Better send Jim and Mary a quick way to go.
If the, okay.
We can still hear, we can still see.
Hey, the cool thing is, that's the first time this has happened, right?
What happened? We lost the,
We just lost a video link to
Okay.
the auditorium. So
Yeah,
you can't see the
Jim,
auditorium, we
gotcha.
can still hear them.
okay.
I have nothing on my screen. I'm going to completely cancel this meeting. I mean, I know that there's a lot of people on, and if you can rejoin so we can try to get the video and everything up.
I just tried. It's a Zoom issue.
Okay.
Steve, do you have this printed out version?
I don't have it, but
Here, let me
I
just-
got it here and I know where the change was. But I don't have a problem with your changes. If they,
Okay. Steve, I'm sorry. I just had a couple corrections on there that I can just send to you. And then once you integrate these changes and suggestions, will you send it back out to all of us to
sure.
take a look at? And I'm pleased that we're going to kind of soften the tone. I do agree with Commissioner McKinney there a little bit. So just kind of smooth out some of the rough edges there. But thanks so much. A lot of work went into this, and I think you laid it out really in a very comprehensive manner. So thanks for that.
Mm-hmm. Happy to do that.
It appears the intranet or the internet is down. Let me go see if I can find Chris.
Well, we're still getting Mary's voice.
Yeah, people are still connected.
And I can still hear
We have everything except,
Commissioner Hanson.
we have everything except the video from the auditorium. We still have audio, we just have no video from the auditorium.
I was going to say, I can see Paul and Jim.
So you have the two best ones.
I've got all we need right here. And I can hear Steve.
As long as we can't. Yeah. That's fine, as long as we have a recording of the conversation, we're fine.
Commissioner Hanson.
Broadcaster's still running and recording.
Can you try and,
Commissioner Hanson, are you still with us on the line?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay,
I can't.
so we still have a full commission.
yep,
It's just yes.
yep, we can go ahead, Mr. President.
Yes, please.
So let me, if I can, I've received Commissioner McKinney's comments. I believe I'm hearing three of you say that you would like the letter changed in accordance with that, as well as Commissioner May has some edits that she would like to be incorporated, and Commissioner Pickering would like to remove the reference to any impacts to the existing neighborhood. I will make those edits.
Steve, I have one comment.
Okay.
And this probably won't surprise anybody, but probably just because of my life experience in and out of courtrooms for one reason or another throughout my life, I understand and fully support the reasons and tones and verbiage of a letter such as this, because, and I've explained myself this way multiple times, but probably not in the last year or so. If I was a card player and I wanted to win, I would play with every card face up. And this is exactly what this is. And it puts enough on the record that unless somebody is really, really less than intelligent, I'll say, they will get the idea. And so that's why I like this letter the way it is. But I'll for sure go along with whatever somewhat toned down changes you'd like. I just worry that that their attorney might not understand that, because we've heard some of their comments on the record before, and we're still scratching our heads about that.
Well, with that, I would need a motion that would request staff to tone it. I believe Commissioner Hanson has some comments.
Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, so I guess at this point, this to me is not preparing for a legal dispute and girding our loins as gently as we may. To me, listening to the meeting on the 12th, what I heard overwhelmingly from the council was, is the commission, we're trying to find out where you're coming from. What are the practical issues you're grappling with? We want to know where you're coming from, because all we get is the official legal position or nothing. And so my suggestion is that we don't push for, so we don't sort of lead with all these legal discussions, but that we simply have a very short letter saying we'd like to send over Deputy Director Behringer and have her visit with you about and answer your questions about the practical aspects of operating the maintenance yard. And in those conversations, we hope to be able to answer your questions. And we want to resolve this. We know you want to resolve this. And I think that would be a better approach. And then save all that legal stuff for later on, because what I'm hearing is before they meet again on the 26th, they just want to know what's up, where are you coming from? And since we don't have a joint meeting, obviously we can't be having conversations with them one-on-one or so forth. But I hope this comment, which is public and hopefully is recorded, knows that I want to work with them in good faith. I think they will appreciate all of the practical challenges of making changes very quickly to that maintenance yard, but that we're in good faith. We're always looking at all kinds of options, and we're happy to discuss those both within the yard itself and making adjustments to address, water levels and et cetera, visual issues, as well as the broader issues of the long-term, maintenance facilities for the whole county. So I think we lead with, let's go have a short note with you and send Deputy Director Behringer over and have her there to answer questions and have a conversation with them and see where that goes, and not lead with all these arguments and reciting the history, because from listening to them, I don't think that's what they were asking for. I think what they're asking for is just, so what are some of the things we can work on, and leave the lawyers quietly sitting on the side. And that's what you'd normally do in a case. If the lawyers need to sit on the side, they can protect their client's interests. But in the meantime, those conversations need to take place. And the best way to do it, I think, is with Deputy Director Behringer answering questions of the council.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Mr. President, to Commissioner Hansen's point, is that not our intent to have that sit-down meeting with Jennifer and Mayor Evans?
Yes, that is what's going to happen.
To walk through some of the examples that we had at our last meeting.
That's absolutely choreographed and on PowerPoint, yes.
Right. So I think that's the first step. Commissioner Hansen, if that kind of speaks to your concern there, that they're going to sit down, and then this letter was going to follow that. So,
yes.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that was still the plan.
And let's wait on the Jim, one last thing that I would say to make it perfectly clear what the value of this letter is I think it's going to save us at least $100,000 in legal fees.
Well, and Mr. President, if I may, unless you're not finished.
Go ahead.
Okay. My experience has shown me that the best way to avoid a big fight is to make sure that the potential opponent knows that you're strong. Strength deters warfare, on the big scale. Likewise, in a case like this, to avoid a big battle with Garden City, it looks like we've already been in a bit of a battle. So this letter to me is essentially laying our cards on the table, like Commissioner Goldthorpe said, and letting them know, look, here's the reality. And I think the way to approach it is, and I don't know who coined the phrase, but you want to, show an iron fist in a velvet glove. And that's what I hope this letter can do. Basically, approach them and say, look, we want to work this out, but by the way, here's the core of where we come from. So the body of the letter, the guts of this letter, is the iron fist. And I think the beginning and end can help. If they soften it a little bit, that's kind of like a velvet glove. And I think that'll, show that, we're strong. We're not trying to strong arm anyone, but we have a good, solid position. And let's work this out amicably. And that's why I think the approach of showing, conciliation, I'm not sure if that's quite the right word, if that goes along with this kind of information, I think that's where we'll have the strongest position to work from.
Mr. President, Commissioners, when we've discussed this before, and I'm not going to get into the details, but I believe the strategy was that we would do a two-pronged approach, and that is what staff has prepared, and we've prepared a PowerPoint presentation where Jennifer's going to provide that. We were going to, as the director indicated, provide that to the mayor in advance of the April 26th meeting of the city council, and if he requests for us to present it at that time, we're prepared to do that. But there's a really important issue, and that is that on the 26th, like in the last city council meeting, they are going to make a decision on an extension, and they believe from their communications that they believe that extension is a new application for the CUP, and that is not what it is. It was a proposal consistent with Senate Bill 1106 for the two parties to sit down, and that extension is to try and have 60 days to see if they can't work out some form of an agreement. This letter makes it absolutely clear that we are not waiving any of our rights, that this is not, the 60 days is not a new application or new submittal, and it's important that that be said. Going into, it didn't get said, it was not said at the last city council hearing, and they were going through their standards. This was a proposal, I believe, from what the mayor was in response to Senate Bill 1106. So it's important. Staff has done it consistently with the direction we receive from staff. I'm happy to tone down consistent with the input that I've received today. And we are prepared to present what Commissioner Hansen has suggested and the entire commission directed us to do, and that is to go through the operational issues and concerns and proposals that are in front of us. So I just wanted to let you know that the letter isn't per se a war letter. It is really to preserve a lot of the ACHD's legal rights moving forward.
Mr. President?
And that's going to be hand delivered to Mayor Evans after the meeting that you have.
Yes.
Correct. That was the decision that we made. So I still stand in support of the direction we gave to Mr. Price and staff. I think they've accomplished that, and I don't think any of the amendments that we've heard today, Commissioner McKinney and Pickering, changes the intent or the real thrust of this letter. So I would be fine with those, and I know time is of the essence. So I still support what we decided on last week.
Mr. President?
Yes.
I just feel compelled to say this. And I mean, words, let me just say this. Words matter. And, the few words and terms have been flown out today in terms of like people being dense or not intelligent and opponents and war. And I just want to remind everybody that we're here serving the same constituents. We're not here to do those things, and I just want us to be more mindful of the terms that we're using, because it becomes that much more difficult to get to a solution and to get back on a collaborative teamwork style relationship when the words that we're using to describe either that we're using in the letter or how we want to use the letter can be really damaging. So that's it. Thank you.
Mr. President, I
Yes.
agree words matter, and I think we've had a good discussion, and I think the direction is to soften the tone there, and then Mr. Price is going to get that out to us, so we can take a look at that before you have your sit-down meeting.
Okay, would you like to make a motion to that effect?
So moved?
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
I'm going to oppose. I would like to see us meet before we give letters forth. I think Commissioner Pickering's comments are totally well taken, and I think our relationship has to be built with the council as equal elected officials. So I'm just reluctant to place a legal document in front of them while they're trying to make a decision. I think the request should be, if you're not ready to make a decision, let's meet jointly. Let's continue this conversation. We think Deputy Director Behringer will answer all your questions so that you'll understand and grant an extension. But if not, we would like to meet you personally and we'll have a joint session. But I just feel, based on the relationships that we need to build, that laying this letter on them may aggravate that. I hope it doesn't. I hope that, in fact, that we do want, they do perceive that there's enough support on this commission to engage in a conversation, continuing conversation, and coming to solutions that don't involve the taxpayers paying lawyers on both sides.
Thank you. The motion carried.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Oh, okay, Mr. President, just to Commissioner Hansen's point there, maybe we can include some language in that letter. And Jim, that's going to come back to us to look at. It's not a done deal yet. This is not the letter that we're approving to go forward. They're going to have that sit-down meeting first before, but maybe we can include some language in there about, perhaps we could meet, et cetera, and soften it a little bit more. But I look forward to seeing what Mr. Price sends back to us. So,
Just so you know, folks, what the timetable is for this is this letter needs to be finished before I have the meeting with the mayor and with Jennifer, because everything needs to be completed before their meeting on the 26th. And it's not happening today. It's not happening tomorrow. So we have Friday and sometime during the day, Monday, but the time is fast, going away. So anyway, Steve will be doing this very quickly, and we will not be having another meeting before it is adopted.
Mr. President, I'll have those proposed revisions to you and the entire commission this afternoon.
Thank you. All right.
I would just ask that we forward the recording or the link of this deliberation to the city council so that they can listen and see where each of us is coming from.
If they're that interested, they can get on this and listen to it. Thank you. Director Wong.
Mr. President, it is time for your regular meeting at this point.
And we will begin, as usual, with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic
Which is stand one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll begin the meeting with a motion to accept the agenda.
I'll move to accept the agenda.
Is there a second?
Second? Second?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. We'll go now to the consent agenda, and items, of course, on the consent agenda are considered to be routine and will be enacted with one motion. And there will be no separate discussion on these items unless a commissioner or citizen so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda. All consent agenda items are commission action items unless otherwise noted. Is there a motion to accept the consent agenda as written?
Mr. President, I have a question. I noticed there's only 9 participants in this meeting, no member of the public. Are we going to run into our open meeting violation for holding this meeting until we resolve whatever technical issues have arisen?
Good question. Steve's on the way to answer it.
Mr. President, Commissioners, no. We're meeting the minimum requirements under Idaho law, and that is simply to take the minutes of the meeting, but also only provide an audio recording of it, which we're doing. There's nothing under our policy or under state law that requires it to be viewed by video.
Well, no,
That's why I said
guess
audio,
is-
they can hear it.
Right. No, the recording's recording. But the question is participation in this meeting now. If someone wants to participate, do we know for sure that they're, because the number has dropped. We used to have more for our pre-session. And I can't see, is there an issue of the public coming in or some of the people who are going to testify on these items on the agenda?
Well, I'm assuming that and we'll have to check with our audio people, but is it just only allowing commissioners in?
Steve, this is Paul Daigle, Chief of Staff. There is a member of the public that is visible on my screen, and we have 3 members of the staff in addition to myself and the 2 commissioners at my end.
Is there anything technically that would prohibit any member of the public from participating in the audio version of this meeting? Confirm that.
Because that would be
everyone is aware.
because that was
Construction across the street hit our fiber optic cable, and that's why there's no video link.
Yeah.
Just so you all know, construction cut the fiber across the street.
So if I were to log out and I would be let back in, can we just test that? So
Yes, you would. Stacy just tested it, so if anybody's logging in, they can get access to the current meeting.
Thank you, Jim, for doing that. I had the same concern.
Yep, that's the last problem we need.
And, Mr. President, again, Paul Daigle, we have a number of members of the general public that are logging in as we speak.
Okay, good.
And if they log in and send a note, will it be received by Stacy if they wish to give testimony? I'm seeing some
Yes, that
heads.
should work. They should be able to chat.
They should be able to chat, and then we can invite them on. Okay.
And Stacy, is that
They're,
correct? You
they're
can let them
signing
in?
on. Yeah, they're signing on pretty regular now.
yeah, I see 15 participants
Yeah,
now.
yeah. Several of the ones that were in the waiting room are now
I think
on
we're good.
with us. Yeah.
Well, folks, that's a relief. Then we still have a motion that I would accept to approve the consent agenda.
Let's see, did we already make that?
think-
Was that already
I
approved?
thought we had a motion.
Did we go all the way through the vote?
Okay.
Mr.
don't-
President, let me make a motion and a disclosure. I would make a motion to approve the consent agenda, but I do want to disclose that about 10 months ago, I had a conversation with somebody related to the person requesting the vacation on item 2. So, and I just told them that it seemed to make sense and they should go through the process. I just want to disclose that I did have
Thank you, Jim.
communication. That's why I'm surprised that it's listed as legislative, because that will be a judicial thing. So anyway, make a motion to approve.
Is there a second? Mary?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. We're on the regular agenda now, and Christine Tandler will discuss our quarterly impact fee program balance.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. For the record, Christine Tandler, Budget Coordinator, here to present the second quarter impact fee program balance. We began the year, fiscal year 21, with a $1.2 million positive balance. Collected about $13 million and spent just over $7 million. We have an ending second quarter balance of $6.5 million in the impact fee program. Some of the main impact fee projects are the completion of Cole Road and Victory Road, 10 Mile McMillan to Chinden, Eagle Road, Amity to Victory, which is currently under construction, as well as Maple Grove Victory to Overland also. On the extraordinary impact fees, we began the year at $2.2 million, mainly just collecting fees in the West Foothills area, and we're ending the second quarter with a $2.7 million balance in the extraordinary impact fee program. In accordance with Ordinance 246, the impact fee program loan from the general fund has been repaid, and the program balance is $6.5 million. This is not an action item, but I will stand for questions.
Are there any questions for Christine? If there are no questions, I'll just make the comment of thank you for a job well done.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes.
Thanks, Christine.
I think that balance is going to continue to grow until the legislature takes seriously our request to update the statute so that we can use those impact fees. Otherwise, we'll have to change. So I think it's really critical that since that balance is going to continue to grow, that the legislature provide the requests that we made to them.
Well, they'll know about that again here very quickly. Soon after they're adjourned, we'll be hitting them up again. Item number 2, we don't have the vote on item number 1, so we'll go to item number 2, which is 2021 Cul-de-sac repair bid protest. This is Quasi Judicial, and it's the appeal of the staff level decision and an objection to the bid that was award that was given. And so, Dave Rader, it's yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon, President Goldthorpe and Commissioners. For the record, Dave Rader, ACHD Project Manager. Before you today is a decision briefing in reference to a bid protest received on the 2021 Cul-de-sac repair project. Oh, I'm not in the slideshow, sorry.
Thank you.
The scope of the project will rehabilitate 186 cul-de-sacs in ACHD's Maintenance Zone 2. Here's a vicinity map. ACHD held the bid opening on March 17th. The responsive low bidder is Morgan Pavement. The next highest bidder is Boswell Asphalt Paving Solutions. The bid difference was $47,323.57. ACHD listed the notice of intent to award on the website on March 30th. Upon that notice, Boswell Asphalt Paving Solutions submitted a formal bid protest. Boswell Asphalt Paving Solutions asserts that Morgan Pavement cannot or will not comply with Idaho residency requirements outlined in Idaho Code 441001. ACHD procurements completed their responsiveness review and found Morgan Pavement to be the responsive low bidder. Morgan Pavement has declared their compliance with Idaho Code 441001 through the bid process. ACHD Capital Projects executed the construction contract on April 1st, 2021. ACHD Procurements informed bidders that the construction contract was awarded on April 2nd. Staff recommends denying the bid protest and affirming the award of the construction contract to Morgan Pavement. I will stand for questions. Thank you.
I have one, Dave. They have self-declared their status as conforming to the residency requirements. How do we authenticate that and make sure that that's accurate and honest?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
for the record, Scott Spears, Assistant General Counsel for Ada County Highway District. The state law does not require us to verify. State law requires that our contracts contain a provision stating that the contractor will comply. And so if a contractor violates that provision, then they would be in breach of contract. In addition, if they violate that provision, the requirement, they would also be subject to misdemeanor criminal penalties. So ACHD does not confirm that issue, nor does the code require us to.
So who in fact would be the enforcement arm of the state law?
The enforcement arm, Mr. Chairman, would be a complaint made by a citizen to the sheriff, and the sheriff could investigate and issue a citation. And then if the prosecutor found that to be a citable offense worthy of prosecution, then the prosecutor would take that matter up in criminal court.
Would that then give us the opportunity to rescind their bid for them?
Well, if in a criminal matter that was found that they did not comply with the statute, then they would be in breach of contract.
They would be in breach of contract to us.
Yes.
And it would be up to the county then to enforce any criminal penalties.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
And if both of those things actually happened, would they then, from our standpoint, be ever asked to bid on a contract again?
They would be placed on the watch list in that instance, and so then that would they would not be eligible to bid for a number of years based upon our policy.
Okay, thank you very much. Wanted that to be on the record in this case. So now the people who are most concerned about this know what avenue they really need to take and not just here.
And if I may, Mr. President, just touch on one other aspect of this. This procurement was under 67-2805-2A, and in that instance, the award of a bid is not to be done so under a reason to not award is it cannot be based on speculation.
Right.
The criteria or the law states that the subdivision, the political subdivision, may only consider the amount bid, bidder compliance with administrative requirements in the bidding process, which was the self-certification, which Morgan did, and whether the bidder holds the requisite license. Those matters have all been confirmed through our process. So in other words, that has all been confirmed to be accurate, and the speculation of whether or not for this particular year this vendor would be able to comply with the code is just that, speculation. We cannot use that as a basis to deny this award.
It's a little late too, isn't it?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
All right. Good. Okay. Do we have any questions for Dave? other than what we
You know,
just
actually,
went through. Yes.
Mr. President, I'm wondering, before you get rid of that PowerPoint, I'd like to go back to the actual statute itself. I'd like to, you put it up there. Can we enlarge that just a little bit? There we go. Let's see. So this statute requires them to employ 95% bona fide Idaho residents as employees. Okay. Okay, great, thank you.
Mr. President, I don't know if Commissioner May's in the same boat. I can't see any PowerPoint. I'm just going off of the documents in the attached to the agenda.
Sure.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
this is Scott Spears again for the record. Yes, Commissioner McKinney is correct. Under the law, the contractor must employ 95% bona fide Idaho residents on a contract. If they have 50 employees or less, then that criteria drops to 90%.
All right. So do we have anyone from the company making the protest online, or have they indicated they'd like to say something, Stacy?
Nobody has chatted. If we just give a moment, if they do wish to speak, then
All right.
trying to run a Zoom meeting from a cell phone is kind
Oh,
of hard.
geez, no kidding. So we should play the Jeopardy interim music.
Mr. President, just a concern if there's evidence being introduced in a quasi-judicial proceeding that only some but not all of the commissioners get to see, can we just not try and figure out a way of doing this under these circumstances so that we're all getting exactly the same amount of information? I just want to create.
There has been no evidence produced.
I'm just saying that.
Mr. President and Commissioner Hanson, the staff will read all of the PowerPoint, which was done in the last case. So all of the information will be provided to the public via video, or excuse me, audio. The fact that they can't see it, they will still be provided the same information. That is typically our practice, is to review the PowerPoints and read them. Just because you can't see them doesn't mean that you're not getting the same information. But if the commission is feeling uncomfortable, would like to make sure that the public can also receive the the video, then we can postpone the meeting. But I don't believe it's necessary because they can participate by audio.
And there's one other aspect of this particular protest. This is not the first year nor the first time that this particular protest has been lodged, and the laws have not changed in those years. So the fact that that there has not been a complaint filed with the appropriate judicial office, that's not something I think that, at least that I'm prepared to second guess, but it hasn't happened up till now. Bruce?
Mr. President, Commissioners, just as a little bit more information, we are recording this via the TriCaster, the backup system, so the videos are being recorded. They will be available to the public and posted accordingly. And it's streaming now as we speak on the other side. So again, we do have backups. They are being used, and so you are on good ground if you would like to.
All right. Well, that's nice to know that we didn't ditch our old system. Okay, so still no indication of anybody wishing to give testimony, Stacy? Okay, then we'll close this matter and open it up for the commission for discussion and a motion.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Let me make a comment and then a motion. I think this is the kind of situation that arises, on a fairly regular basis in contracting situations. And I think the discussion here has done a good job of outlining proper procedures And it appears to me that all the proper, excuse me, procedures have been followed, and that the remedies that are available to the individual that, or the company that's unhappy with the bid result, their avenues for redress have been outlined and so on fairly clearly. And for that reason, I think we should, I would like to make a motion that we, I guess the word is reject the bid, the objection to the bid award for the 2021 cul-de-sac repair bid matter.
And approve the staff decision.
Yes, approve the staff
Second.
And
recommendation.
it's been moved and seconded that we approve the staff level decision. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. And we'll go on to item number 3, which is condemnation of public right-of-way for Eagle Road and Amity Road roundabout, parcel number 1, 4, and 35. This is a quasi judicial proceeding. And Dave Serdar will be presenting.
Thank you, President Goldthorpe, Commissioners. For the record, David Serdar, right-of-way supervisor for Ada County Highway District. This is a condemnation proceeding for the Eagle and Amity roundabout, and it is for parcels 1, 4, and 35. Just for the record, this will be one presentation, but will require 3 motions for the 3 different parcels that make up the condemnation and the property owned by Albertsons. ABS is Albertsons. This project was included
Just a minute, I probably should have included the abbreviations there, shouldn't I?
Oh, no, that's not the purpose of me coming up here.
Okay.
Mr. Serdar did inform me that we've been contacted by Albertsons, and they've requested us to send a proposal, which we will do, but we typically, when we have it noticed for an order, we go ahead as a practice until we have the signed papers. The order doesn't do anything. It's simply an order. If they sign the papers in the
It goes away.
near future, then it just simply goes away. So that has been our practice. We've in the past, we've had people promise that they would do that, and then that's delayed the project even further. And so we need to, it's in the district's best interest to be prepared to be in a position that if they don't sign, that we can continue to move forward. And in this case, it's especially the case.
Thank you.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Mr. Price, could you explain just really quick, what do you mean by proposal from Albertsons?
Well, we've sent how the process starts is we're required to give an offer in accordance with the fair market value. Our right-of-way agents negotiate all the different considerations. The landowner can supply an appraisal. It's really a process driven for the parties to find the fair market value. Our agents have worked really hard with Albertsons on this, especially by identifying what is commercial and what is going to be residential and the values appropriate for that. We got to an impasse in those negotiations. We have a team that meets and goes over all of the information prior to making a decision to go forward with condemnation. We then sent a 10-day letter, which is not required by law, but it's a fail-safe to do that. And we had sent a 10-day as our final and best offer. And just today, we had received a request, and I don't know the particulars of that other than to send the documents in accordance with that.
Correct.
And we will do that. But it remains to be seen whether they'll actually sign it or not.
Thank you.
Probably gave Dave's presentation there, didn't you? Okay. But Dave will be disappointed if we don't let him do. Okay.
Oh, for sure. Thank you, Commissioner Goldthorpe, President Goldthorpe, Commissioners. As Steve noted, we have been in multiple negotiations over the last week, but especially over the last 2 days. We have reached a point where we believe we're very close. You know, we've reached a point where they're asking for the documents. So he still has to go through, just like we go through our groups, he has to still go through his groups, but he's taken that forward. So the best way to term it is we have come to an agreement, we believe, with the real estate manager, and he's moving it forward for approval. So, and that's why it's important that we keep the process moving. So I will go ahead and continue my presentation now.
Thank you.
In terms of public necessity, this project was included in ACHD's Integrated 5-Year Work Plan, which was approved by the Commission on September 23rd, 2020. It was also approved in ACHD's fiscal year 21 budget on October 26, 2020. Right here is a map that shows all 4 parcels. Parcel 4 and parcel 35 are the residential. Parcel 1 is the commercial. This is parcel 1, which is the commercial. This has been the parcel that has had most of the conflict or dispute on value right now. Parcels 4, which is north of parcel 1, is a residential parcel, and parcel 35 is also a potential residential parcels, or residential development's probably the better way to say that. All of those, we've pretty much been, they have not been much in dispute, but Albertsons hasn't been willing to sign until we get all 3 parcels negotiated. So. The total fee acquisition area for all 3 parcels is 1.02 acres. The total amounts of permanent easements, that is going to be required of the project is 0.33 acres, and the temporary easement is 0.03 acres. The property to size before the acquisition, counting all 3 parcels, is 37.82 acres. The property size after is 36.8 acres. The highest and best use for parcel 1 is community business, and parcels 4 and 35 is medium density residential. On October 26, 2020, ACHD had the appraisal completed and made an offer on parcels 1 and 4. The total 4 and 35. The total amount of that offer was $78,456.88. We did receive notification that the formal offer was received by the property owner in December. On February 26th, there was a revision to parcel 1 with a new appraisal that was sent to the property owner. The total value of that appraisal was $169,555. Discussions and negotiations have been ongoing between ACHD from November to essentially 10 minutes before this meeting started. So, and on April 28th, ACHD staff ACHD staff did send a 10-day final offer letter. It is the staff recommendation that we declare the acquisition area as necessary for the project as right-of-way and public use, authorize staff to proceed with the condemnation action, and execute an order of condemnation for the acquisition action. As a reminder, it will require 3 different actions and motions, and I have put some language up there that should help, or just a reminder. I will remain standing for any questions.
Are there any questions for Mr. Sirdar from any of the commissioners? You can leave that that slide up on the screen too. Stacy, do we have anyone from Albertsons on the line that wishes to give testimony?
Shandy's helping. There's nobody in the chat.
Okay, then I will close the public hearing, and it is before the commission for discussion and 3 motions.
Mr. President,
Yes.
just to follow up on what Mr. Price mentioned previously, it sounds like that the property owner, this condemnation is sort of an insurance policy that the property owner is going to then move forward with what it appears that they're suggesting. Is that an accurate assessment, Mr. Price?
Yes, it is. The intent is to go ahead and approve the orders of condemnation. It doesn't do anything, put a lien on their property or anything like that. Keeps the process moving forward and keeps us, the project moving forward. And if we're able to resolve it, I've never really told the commission, but in many cases in condemnations, you have about a third of them that are willing to just sign. You have another third that it takes about the point when you get to condemnation order that then they'll decide to sign. And then you have another third that after you have the order that you finally negotiate. In 18 plus years, we've only had one case go to court and have a jury trial, which went all the way to the Supreme Court, and we won. But so it's through that process that we're able to establish a fair and just compensation, but sometimes the process is necessary for both parties. It's not just the property owner, but it's also for ACHD to do a risk assessment and look at the best way to resolve and go forward. But I think we have with the existing commissioners, we have our veteran commissioners, staff has a pretty good record of settling these cases. But that is the purpose is to keep the project. It is really an insurance policy that they meet what they've indicated that they're willing to do. But again, he has his own board that he has to seek approval from.
Right. Okay. Well, in view of that, if there aren't any other comments, I'm ready to make a motion.
Are there any other comments? Go ahead.
Okay. Mr. President, I move that we approve and sign the order of condemnation for Parcel 1, declaring that the project is necessary for the public good and authorize the staff to proceed with the condemnation action.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
No, okay.
I'll
The
be
motion
voting no,
approves.
yeah. Yep. Just for the record, I have opposed this design. I think the free running right turn on this roundabout is dangerous and not in the public interest, so it would not be appropriate for me to then make a finding that taking property to build it is in the greatest public interest. So that's why I'll be voting no on these 3 motions.
Thank you. We'll proceed on to motion number 2.
Mr. President, I move that we approve and sign the order of condemnation for Parcel 4, declaring that the project is necessary for the public good and authorize staff to proceed with the condemnation action.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
We'll proceed, motion is approved. We'll go on to item number, the third part of this.
Okay, Mr. President, I move that we approve and sign the order of condemnation for Parcel 35, declaring that the project is necessary for the public good and authorize the staff to proceed with the condemnation action.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Oh, any opposed?
Did we lose that?
Motion approves. We'll now go into the public communications portion of our meeting. Are there any members of the public that would like to speak? Stacy? We've lost audio, Steve.
Maybe right when we were voting.
Was it after the hearing was closed?
Oh,
I think it was the third parcel.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Here's my next question. Is the guy that busted the cable the same one we keep getting complaints about on TELUS?
When I was a kid, our family moved into a new house. My dad decided to put in the sprinkler system on his own, rented a trencher, proceeded to cut the telephone line 3 different times.
Yeah.
One day we had to have the phone company come out.
Audio's back. What should we repeat?
okay, if Mr.
I can
Ardar
hear.
can put the slide back up. Well, I'm gonna kind of do overkill. I'm gonna go to the motion slide. If the commission doesn't mind, I just request that because of the technical difficulties we're having today, that and make sure that we've got it all right, that the commission approve parcel 1, parcel 4, and parcel 35. Approve and sign the order of condemnation for each of those 3 parcels, declaring the project is necessary for the public good, and authorize staff to proceed with the condemnation action.
Would you like us to make 3 separate motions again?
No, I
No.
think you can lump them all into one and do it that way.
Okay, Dave.
I think we have the other 2. I just want to
You
make
did.
sure.
All right. Do we have Commissioners May and Hanson back on the line with us?
Well, we can hear you, we just can't see any.
Okay, good. All right, then what we're going to do is, since the audio cut out with the third motion, we're going to do one motion and put them all together. I move that we approve and sign the orders of condemnation for parcels 1, 4, and 35, declaring that the project is necessary for the public good and authorizing staff to proceed with the condemnation actions.
Is there a second?
Second. Second.
All in favor, aye.
Third.
Whoop, all
Aye.
in favor, aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No,
Thank you. The motion passes. So that, Stacy, do we have anybody on, okay, nobody on tap for public communications, so I declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you. Would anyone like to take a few minute break? We will take 5 minutes. Thank you.
The fiber that was cut also cut all communications to the TMC. We have no workarounds on this right now. Everything's working. It's just we have no eyes, no feedback. I listened to your other motion on here. I was on the phone with Paul Daigle. I heard everything across the board, and so the public did hear.
We just look at this as being a pop quiz to see if you were awake during Steve's training. Yes.
Well, but I'm wondering though, should we delay the work session? Because, I mean, they're not going to be able to see the slides. And that seems important.
What do you think?
I think that makes sense, actually.
I would agree with that.
Okay, then we're
Not
going
through the
to,
business. Yeah.
we're going to move the
I
work
agree.
sessions. Because in my opinion, I mean, they're both going to be good work sessions. In fact, I'll compliment staff and our executive team. The last few work sessions we've had, a whole bunch of them have just been excellent. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. So get your hats on for the 5-year work plan when we get this rescheduled, which will probably be next week or, yeah. All right, we're done.
Thanks, everybody.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Was a little